Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for the More Survivalists and continuing with the topic of the invasion of Ukraine by Vladimir Putin. I don't even want to say Russia because most of people in Russia are very much against what's going on. They're afraid though. They barely dare say anything against the regime because Putin has a way of executing and torturing and disappearing people that don't agree with him. But I think that over 1,000 have been arrested already. So this is something that's very much on Vladimir Putin himself. And yes, of course, a lot of people that supported him thinking, oh, we have a strong man, this is good. Well, no, dictators are never good, and this is just the proof right here. So a few things that I want to go through because we are seeing already a certain development and there's consequences for what's going on. Before I go on, folks, if you're watching this and you're worried about this is going to be impacting you, especially through inflation and change in your quality of life, you definitely want to get this book that I wrote back in the day about the Modern Survival Manual, Surviving the Economic Collapse. Links below there in Amazon, along with the rest of my books. But this one specifically is going to be giving you somewhat of a good idea of what life is like when you see insane inflation. I mean, I see people freaking out over a few bucks over a gallon of gas. You have no idea what's coming. Believe me, I've gone through it myself. The degradation in your quality of life, poverty, the social and cultural impact that's heading your way, you need to go through it so as to fully understand it and so as to be better prepared. So links for that below there in the description of the video. So a few things that I want to go through. First of all, yes, there's trolls. There's also bots. A bot is a little program that creates an account in different social media, including here in YouTube, creates an account and makes an artificial post using a combination of words that is usually somewhat on the same line, but Ukraine is a dictatorship, or Ukraine, they're Nazis, and there's no democracy, and Russia's liberating, or Russia's defending itself. Anyway, that kind of thing. It's not even a human being. I mean, sometimes it is, but very often it is not, especially when you see one after the other, like 5 people all of a sudden post the same thing. They all think alike and they post within 5 seconds. No, that is not real. That is not even a human being. Then you have, of course, trolls, people that are being paid so as to post this. I see this, you know what, most of all in my Spanish channel. What the hell are people, Spanish speakers, doing supporting Vladimir Putin's regime? I mean, it makes no sense. The sense that it does make is that it's very cheap to hire people to write this nonsense online. And yes, I will admit it, that there's people that actually believe this. And I mean, at this point, if you still believe that Russia is denazifying Ukraine, I mean, you have to be blind to believe that. But, maybe some people think that. I mean, you have Tucker Carlson that up until 2 days ago was somewhat saying the same thing. He was kind of like, Putin didn't do anything to me. I mean, he was this close to saying that Putin is denazifying Ukraine, which is outrageous, but it's the excuse. Now, something that people clearly don't understand is that Putin is not against globalism. Putin is part of the globalist elite. Putin is one of the richest men, if not the richest man on the planet. Putin is not a politician. Putin is not Joe Biden. Joe Biden is nothing. I mean, he's literally nothing. He's a shell of a man at this age and at this stage of degradation. But Vladimir Putin is the elite. Vladimir Putin is one of the richest men in the world, and if you don't know the structure that allows him to be that, is the series of, besides everything that he owns directly and being the dictator of Russia for over 20 years, is the network of oligarchs that he has all over the world, specifically in London, in UK. All of those billionaire oligarchs, half of that money belongs to Vladimir Putin. The agreement is, you want to be a multi-millionaire, a billionaire even, or you want to be dead? You want to drink a radioactive tea or live in wealth beyond your wildest dreams? That is agreed on. And of course, yes, with a man that can kill you at any moment, you kind of take the millionaire path, which makes perfect sense. Now, there's people that have, gotten away from that, and they say this, that Vladimir Putin takes half of it. Half of that fortune belongs to him. Be wealthy, live in your yacht, in your mansion, but always keep in mind, half of that belongs to me, and if not, I'm going to be killing you. Okay, that's how it works. This is why you cannot think of Vladimir Putin as a politician or even a mere dictator. He is the elite. That's why when people foolishly think that he opposes the World Economic Forum, no, he doesn't. He is a keynote speaker of the damn World Economic Forum, if you haven't noticed it. Klaus Schwab is not the owner of Vladimir Putin. Klaus Schwab is Vladimir Putin's butler. He's the service of the real elite. He's not part of the elite himself. He makes a few millions and lives very nicely, but he hasn't got the kind of power that real elite does. Besides that, he is a dictator that rules over a country that has nuclear weapons, so even more so. What I'm getting to this, guys, here is that this has all been agreed on. Both the President of the United States and the European Union agreed that they would hand over Ukraine to Russia. That's why Ukraine was never allowed to be part of NATO. That's why Ukraine was not allowed to be part of the European Union, in spite of a huge majority of Ukrainians wanting to be part of the European Union, part of that Western civilization that they saw and liked. This is why 90% of Ukrainians voted to be their own separate country. This is why Ukraine in 1994, with the Budapest Agreement, they gave up their nuclear weapons in exchange of recognition from the United States, from United Kingdom, and from, yes, Russia. Russia would recognize Ukraine as a sovereign nation and recognize its border and respect those in exchange for Ukraine giving up their nuclear weapons. They gave up their nukes, and see where they are right now. Both United States, UK, European Union, and Russia, they all screwed an entire country. This has been agreed. This is why old Joe is even scared of even suggesting that he's going to be doing any measures that's going to be affecting Putin in the least. You don't mess with a guy that owns, a huge part of the elite. This is why all of these fake sanctions that do nothing, just a little bit of pretend, but we're not going to be getting involved. We're not going to be messing with him. And that's all agreed on. You think that they're going to be doing anything to destabilize the elite as it is. But for all of those people, all of you guys that think that Vladimir Putin is not part of the elite, you really need to do a little bit more research, because you're definitely missing on the big picture. Now, what all this means is that, yes, of course, who's getting screwed here? The Ukrainians. Ukrainians are the ones that are being invaded, slaughtered, and putting one hell of a fight, because if there's one thing that Vladimir Putin wants, is to see this man not dead, but to see him run. Vladimir Putin wants to see this man leave Kiev with his tail between his legs, running scared and abandoning Ukrainians. And he's not doing that. Now, why is it that he wants that? Because back in 2014, when Ukrainians, and yes, with support from certain parts of the West, they wanted to be a free, independent country and no longer have a stooge of Putin, pretending to be the president of the country. 2014, they kick away the puppet that Putin had in place, similar to Belarus, where it pretends to be a free nation when it's not. Now, Ukrainians, fed up with that crap, kicked that man out of the country, and he left because he was Putin's stooge, so much so that he got on a plane, went straight to Moscow, and like the lapdog that he is, back to Putin to give accounts of what went on. I mean, this is all very obvious. We all saw that. And people that wanted to be free, live in their own free nation, including people like these, the Klitschko brothers. If you don't follow boxing, maybe you don't know who these guys are. These are two brothers that are former world champion boxers. Not only that, they're actually geniuses, extremely high IQ. I think they're both scientists. And besides that, multimillionaires. And yes, they literally fought with their fists in that in the capital so as to get rid of Putin's stooge. And there's actually a very emblematic picture of one of the brothers that has his face covered in white dust, and he was literally fist fighting with the cops in that plaza against the men of Putin. So and one of these guys is mayor of Kiev, and apparently, but based on what I'm reading, they're still there and they're staying to fight for their country. They are millionaires. They could easily leave and not get involved in that, or stay safe. But apparently, based on what I'm seeing, they're still there in the capital along with the president. Now, in the meantime, what Putin is doing, he's releasing these Chechen Special Forces hunters. The only thing special about these animals is the amount of rape and torture that they unleash on any population that has to suffer them. These are Muslim Chechens that work for Putin, and they rape, pillage, and torture the civilian population. And they've been given some targets as to go after, a kill list of certain figures that Putin wants to get rid of. But most of all, what they're going to be doing, I think it's 10,000 of these beasts being let loose, is rape, torture, and massacre people, and basically bring them to their knees. That's going to be a little bit harder than they may think, because they apparently are not giving up all that easily. This guy is still holding on. What's very telling is that not Putin, Joe Biden offered Zelensky to be evacuated from Kiev. How is it possible that the president of the United States offers the president of Ukraine a way out of a country that is completely surrounded by Russia? That's simply because this is all in favor of what Putin wants. Joe Biden, in behalf of Vladimir Putin, offers this man to leave, escape, and abandon his own people. And what he said, apparently, based on what I was reading, I don't need a ride, I need more ammunition, which is pretty badass. Let's recognize that. Anyway, guys, I mean, prayers, and not just prayers, but any action, talk, speak out loud, be clear about it. It is a free nation that's being attacked by a dictator, and the rest of the world is just watching. You know what? If we really lived in a free society where this kind of thing is simply not allowed and it's not accepted, not just the United States, every other nation in the world would give military support immediately to the peaceful nation that was invaded by the dictator. That's what I would personally like to see. If we have, a Western society that holds freedom and democracy as core values, you would use your military to stop this. And if you had done that, this lunatic Vladimir Putin would have never dared do this in the first place. Now that he's doing it, if he would see that he's getting destroyed, because if everyone goes after him at the same time, I mean, it would be completely annihilated in just a matter of hours. There would be nothing left, and he would back up down immediately. But because this is all part of the plan of the elite, this all works perfectly well, not just for Vladimir Putin. Man, I'm getting another country at age 70 when I'm an old idiot and money is no longer enough for me. I'm going to be leaving my legacy of rebuilding my Soviet empire. Okay, we agree on that, Vlad. That's okay. So how much money are we going to be making with this? All right, that sounds great. Fine. The European Union agrees with this. The United States agrees with this. The elite that really runs these politicians agrees with all of this. They're all fine with it, along with Vladimir Putin, who's also part of said elite. And you know what? You're going to be milked every single cent out of you with the excuse of this war. The inflation, the gas, the food, all of that is going to be going way beyond any reasonable base on what's happening at the other end of the world. And they're going to be saying, damn war, Vladimir Putin, damn Europe, damn Ukrainians, or damn someone other than themselves. The ones that are really getting rich out of the misery and death that they've unleashed on a peaceful nation. Guys, it's going to be all for now. See you in the next video. Take care.